In order that all sentient beings may attain Buddhahood, from my heart I take refuge in the three jewels. In order that all sentient beings may attain Buddhahood, from my heart I take refuge in the three jewels. In order that all sentient beings may attain Buddhahood, from my heart I take refuge in the three jewels. Whatever the virtues of the many fields of knowledge, all are steps on the path of omniscience. May these arise in the clear mirror of intellect. O Manjushri, please accomplish this. Good evening and welcome. This evening we continue with our deep dive into the Kagyu Mahamudra tradition, following the moonshine sub-segment of that tradition. And we go further tonight. We dive into enhancement. No more like passively, just like sustaining or cultivating, but we enhance. So we're on page 880, 380, 381, in fact. Enhancement. So this is part 4 of sustaining, actually, right? Which we've looked at the outline of a few times. So hopefully I got that right. Hopefully we're all on the same page with that. Enhancement is the 4th part of sustaining Mahamudra. Enhancement has 2 parts, beginning with breaking through to unborn transparency. And breaking through to unborn transparency has 5 sections, beginning with the meaning of the term breakthrough and its timing. The term breakthrough means to have reached a conclusion without any lingering doubts. In this context, it means to have cut through conceptual elaborations about your own mind, such as that thinking it arises, abides, or ceases, or thinking that it has 3 periods of time, i.e. past, present, and future, or thinking anything else about your mind, like it's yours, or that it resides in your head, or that it's the perceiver, the watcher, that it's continuous, that it's unitary and in control. All sorts of things we think about our minds, and to have reached the conclusion that the mind, your mind, is a great unborn transparency. And that's a conventional expression because the mind doesn't exist as such. So to say that it is a great unborn transparency is a little bit of a contrivance, right? Anyway, I digress. The main point is that the mind is a great unborn transparency. As Tilopa says, don't think, behold the phenomena of the breakthrough. Do you guys remember the famous poem by Tilopa in the book Myth of Freedom? Did anybody here read this book, Myth of Freedom, by Chogyam Trungpa? Myth of Freedom and the Way of Meditations. Cute little book, very helpful, very, very beautiful book, actually. At the end of it, there's a translation of a text by Tilopa referred to usually as the Ganges Mahamudra. Ganges Mahamudra. The Mahamudra that he taught to Naropa on the bank of the Ganges River. And there's a cryptic line in that text which goes like we just saw. Anybody have that text really handy? I was gonna get it myself and I failed. Cynthia, You want to try to find this line in that text?
Okay, give me a minute.
Thanks. And so this is one of the basic Mahamudra texts when we talk about like the core texts of Mahamudra. We've seen references to like different collections of texts, the seven city texts, the six essence texts, collections by the 17th Karmapa now put out in huge volumes called Sounds of the Innate by Kempo professor Karl Brunholzl, who refuses to publish than 500 pages, seemingly. Oh, Eric, you got it?
Yeah, I have it. It's long though. Oops.
Oh, right. I'm saying,
Are
like,
we
can you
looking?
find the stanza that this line appears in?
Yeah, I'm looking for it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, right. It's longer than I thought.
Oh,
So
I've got it. I've got it.
go for it.
Line
Okay.
65, I think, have no mind but see the Dharma of the leap.
Have no mind. So lead up to it. Well, let's hear like a
You want
stanza
context?
before it.
Yeah,
This, like the stanza that it appears in.
yes, sure. Let the movements of the body ease into genuineness. Cease your idle chatter. Let your speech become an echo. Have no mind, but see the Dharma of the leap.
And this is from Myth of Freedom?
This, my label for it does say it's from Myth of Freedom. I have several other translations if you would like me to dig
No,
deeper.
no, no, no. I was looking for that one because Trungpa Rinpoche translated this one.
Right. So actually, the three lines are really body, speech, and mind.
So say them again slowly.
Let the movements of the body ease into genuineness. Cease your idle chatter. Let your speech become an echo. Have no mind, but see the Dharma of the leap.
Have no mind. And so we have the more literal here. Elizabeth is always more literal.
Right.
Don't think. Have no mind, but see the Dharma of the leap. That's such a cool line. I always wondered about that. I mean, I read it like zillions of years ago since I'm a dinosaur. And just love that. See the Dharma of the leap. What is the Dharma of the leap? Is he talking about leap years? Is he talking about the Olympics or the triple jump or maybe the triple Lutz? So anyway, thank you very much for that. The meaning of this is taught in the following citations. The great Brahma and Saraha observes, for those who contemplate suchness, free from a root, receiving the Guru's instructions is sufficient. That's the Dharma. So the meaning of this, those who contemplate suchness free from a root. It'd be mistaken to contemplate suchness that was not free from a root. But it's worth repeating, I guess, that suchness has no root. Receiving the ear-whisper teachings of the Guru is sufficient. He also says, today through the glorious Guru's teachings I realize that primordial, unborn nature. Breakthrough, seemingly meaning, referring to a shift in our experience, a shift in our, let's say, place on the path to enlightenment. The Shawara teaches, thus it is that throughout the three times there is just the intrinsic state, free from extremes, without mental activity. Tilopa says, when mind is without reference point, that is Mahamudra. And that's a very famous reference going back to the Diamond Sutra and the Prajnaparamita Sutras, which I think I've mentioned a number of times, giving rise to a mind that abides nowhere, having no reference point. Maitripa states phenomena are uniform like space. That is called Mahamudra. In this practice tradition, breakthroughs are the thought of the instructions in revealing the hidden characteristics of mind and other works by the unequaled Takpo, i.e. Gampopa. So the meaning of that seems to be that Gampopa's Mahamudra texts are focused on this idea of breakthrough, producing in the reader or the practitioner the experience of breakthrough. Someday we will have this text, what a cool text, revealing the hidden characteristic of mind. That sounds pretty neat. We'll have to regroup and check that one out when it's available. Later, numerous variations of the meditation techniques for breakthroughs were formulated for those of the practice tradition. Numerous variations of the meditation techniques. So what was Tilopa's famous technique for the breakthrough with Naropa? There's 6 points, right? Do not. And then Cynthia just did it right. He said those 6 points to Naropa, and then he took off his, as Punlap Rinpoche calls it, his flip-flop. I love that. And he slapped Naropa with the flip-flop. And as right? With a sandal. It seemed to work. Later, we did that. So the timing of the breakthrough, is it like happen at a certain time of day, certain time of year? Breakthroughs are when, as practitioners, we have purified stagnant experiences of bliss, clarity, or non-conceptuality. And we arouse brilliant clarity in our awareness. The indication is interesting that there's the possibility of having those experiences in a way that's stagnant. That's a very interesting implication. The tendency is to think, well, if you have those experiences, that's what else do you need? That's it. But clearly one can have those in a way that's not that helpful. So those have to be broken through, in effect, by arousing brilliant clarity. And we talked about this before, I believe, like figuring out how to generate brilliant clarity in your meditation practice. Maybe you think about your mother. Maybe you think about death. Maybe you think about the guru. Maybe you just sort of have some way of internally generating energy, energizing internally. You study Qigong or magic, or maybe there's like an open socket near you and you stick a fork in that or something. Somehow energizing your practice with brilliant clarity. Then meditation on space-like clarity, emptiness, is an unbroken flow. Or that experience of space-like clarity, emptiness, is an unbroken flow, even with the allure of daytime appearances. I'm curious, what is the difference between those two? First is space-like clarity, emptiness is an unbroken flow, or space-like clarity, emptiness is an unbroken flow even during daytime experiences. Interesting.
Couldn't that be like what we've been talking about in prior chapters here, that on one hand you have equipoise while sitting, and then on the other hand you maintain your awareness in so-called post meditation? Would that be the unbroken flow even with daytime appearances?
I guess so. So meditation is an unbroken flow, and then post-meditation is an unbroken flow. That experience,
I just took it as in daytime, you really cling and fixate on what you see and think, well, no, that's there. That's all I took it to me. Like, even in the middle of the day when things seem like they're really solid, they're there, but they're not.
Yeah, Sue.
I have a question about experience, because here it says, even with the allure of daytime appearances, it doesn't say experience.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering if, and I don't think it's so, but if you have if you're having an experience, is there automatically an experiencer and something that's being experienced? And so is, if you're having an experience of bliss, does it become slightly a thing?
Well, I think that's similar to what I said earlier about like the mind is a great unborn transparency. To to a greater or lesser extent, we have to use language to describe these things, even though the language we use to describe them implies a subtle dualistic quality.
So that there could be the actual experience of
It could be the non-dual
non-dual,
happening.
a non-dual happening.
Yeah, the
Okay.
non-dual.
And I just want to point out that aroused brilliant clarity is ABC.
Yes.
So cute.
A, B, C. It's easy as. That's a song, isn't that right? What I was thinking is that, the translator put in the brackets after that experience of space like clarity, and it could be that experience of brilliant clarity is an unbroken flow. One last one, Inez, and then we'll move on.
I was just thinking the daytime experiences might just be, chores that you have to do or just taking a shower, things like that. And also, I was thinking the appearance, the experience, we're talking about experiencing space. It's the mind that's experiencing it, right? Not me, but the mind, the body, everything,
Well,
right?
they're all conventional terms because space also does not exist. Space is a metaphor, right?
Right.
So similarly, mind and body are, ultimately metaphors. They're not truly existent as entities. But I like your clarification of daytime experiences of chores and showers and so forth. Rob, last one, and then we go. Can we get an echo between you and I?
If I turn my music thing on, I can probably make an echo happen. So I'm intuiting here that this uh, experience is actually the experience of identity identitylessness, of egolessness, and that has no ego to it. So, but that experience happens. That's the breakthrough.
I would agree with the Intuits. Are those Eskimos Intuits?
Yeah, they're from Greenland.
Greenland!
That's why we have to conquer them.
Oh no. Anyway, definitely I agree with you. Thank you for that. Okay, so whenever we are mindful, right within the movements of thoughts, movements are empty clarity, empty movements. Whenever we are mindful, right with the appearances of the objects for the six modes of consciousness, appearances are vivid, empty appearances. In brief, when all thoughts are empty clarity and appearances are empty appearances. That's a nice one. When all thoughts are empty clarity and appearances are empty appearances, in other words, when we understand that they are, as opposed to them suddenly becoming empty after being non-empty, and we experience all, right, presumably thoughts and appearances as illusion-like, with decisive certainty. That's a pretty good breakthrough. Lori, sorry.
So, would you say that we're getting into some real subtleties here, subtle breakthroughs at this point, because reading this, I felt like I had read it before, except for words
It's
like breakthrough and certainty. And so, because we talked about all of this before pointing out, and
we
that,
did. We did. This whole section is like very repetitive to what we've talked about before, but it's like, yeah, so this is like you said the subtlety of a breakthrough at this point, as opposed to what was it before then in comparison?
like you might have had, well, it would be a breakthrough for me, no
Yeah,
matter when.
really. When and where and in what way?
But so I guess you have an experience of it, but it doesn't stay, and you can't sustain it. Um,
Mm,
you maybe through pointing out instructions, you might
mm,
ha-
yeah,
see some of this through your practice, right?
yeah,
These
yeah.
things are happening, so it seems like would be happening.
My hunch was that up to this
Yeah.
point, it's more like you're cultivating those experiences.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And and then at this point, it's like they happen full on,
Okay.
and then using that the traditional scheme of understanding, experience, and realization. This is where understanding has developed into experience and
Yeah.
blossomed as realization. I would think
Okay.
something like that, because it definitely
Okay.
seems that way.
Okay.
And he doesn't like link it up necessarily with any point in the past, interestingly, but
Yeah.
which sort of leaves it like these can happen anywhere along the path. We'll see, like when we go through the four yogas, if there's any like linkage of them with breakthrough experiences
Yeah. Yeah.
along the
Yeah.
way.
Okay. Mary Beth,
Thank
did you
you.
have something? Or I thought you, oh,
I I thought that maybe the breakthrough was like experiencing the gap before. Is that a similar, like when we have those, when Rinpoche talks about those gap experiences?
Yeah, what are the gaps?
It's
What is
like
there
a,
a gap between?
I'm not sure, but
That's a great answer. We don't know, right? We don't know what happens in the gap. But yeah, breakthroughs are similar to like a huge gap, right? But hoping to go on, but Cynthia, real quick, and then
yeah. All I
announce.
was going to say is that on that page, the prior page where he used the words having reached a conclusion without any lingering doubt. So I just thought that was sort of
Certainty.
important to whatever point that is in the path, this quality of, it's beyond, I think it's beyond the glimpses and
But it
gaps.
sounds like the culmination of understanding.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it, I thought that was useful though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and I did notice that, but it was just, it's like a little addition to all this other stuff that we've already heard. It's just that extra phrase. It's just interesting. Yeah.
And as quickly, and then we'll go on.
This is going to sound silly, but so you're talking about, I mean, I've had experiences where I felt like I saw something or experienced that, but what happens if you bring that off the cushion? You can't really function, right? Can you function? Or is that nirvana where you don't have to do anything anymore?
But you just talked about it. You just yourself said it's you explained that during the allure of daytime appearances such as chores and showers. You were like yourself explaining how you can embody that experience while you're doing your ABCs.
Right, off the cushion. Yeah, that's true.
So
Yeah.
you should ask yourself what you meant back then.
And if not, go to the
Which,
wonderful line in Glimpses of Abhidharma where he talks about that uh, if it was otherwise, there would have to be there we would all be zombies, and there would have to be an enlightenment ward to take care of all the enlightened people. So
the other thing is, which selves are we talking about? When we talk about selves, Derek, you said I should ask myself what I was saying. And I'm thinking, which self are you talking about
Anyone you can find,
at the moment?
ever. Okay. Breakthroughs may be attempted prematurely. If we lack the firm footing of experience and certainty right within awareness and simply rely on a theoretical understanding, we will turn into someone whose high view is just words, whose talk of emptiness is that of someone complacent about the Dharma. This will muddle our mind, and we will come under the sway of our own conceited delusions. Even though others may see us as someone with realization, it is said that we have become a jaded Dharma expert, someone with an inflated external presence. I found that phrase very interesting, like an external presence. I don't think I've remember seeing that sort of expression in traditional texts before. External presence. I wonder what term she's translating there. We know Trungpa Rinpoche talked about presence of different types, internal and external presence. But anyway, who is empty on the inside, like a vacant house with padlocked doors. We haven't achieved anything lasting in relation to our aim. We just deceive ourselves. That's a stern advice to the ambitious, I guess, right? Breakthroughs may not occur even after a very long time. So it's like, it doesn't depend on like, oh, I've been meditating for X number of years, so that must have been a breakthrough. Worthy ones with the karmic continuity of spiritual practice experience their mind and appearances as the acharya. I've never heard that before either. That was cool. I guess acharya means teacher. So seeing experiences and appearances as the teacher. We've heard Trungpa Rinpoche say that a lot, that the phenomenal world is the guru, right? I wonder if that's the sort of phrase he's referring to. Once their fixations on and clinging to experiences are self-purified, then they attain liberation. However, most meditators develop strong clinging to their certainty about experiences, thinking that they are excellent. I know nobody here ever does that, but just other people. They fall into the strain called great meditators getting stuck in the sweetness of experience. Great meditators getting stuck in the sweetness of experience. Sounds like a punk rock band. As the exalted Sankpagara says, many understand meditation, few understand letting go. That's one of my favorite quotes. That's a great one. When these instructions on breakthroughs, plural, are heard in this context, they are methods of instantaneous liberation for those with the karmic continuity of spiritual practice. For everyone else, they will enhance their progression through the 4 yogas. These are special instructions for advancing our spiritual practice. With them, it is said that we can achieve our aim in just a few days. What is he talking about here? Wow. So, like by next week, I expect like a few of you at least to have some breakthroughs, which otherwise might take years of meditation for those of us with a distorted vision of the intrinsic state. Uh-oh. If we all come back here next week without any breakthroughs, we know why, I guess. The place for the breakthrough. As if the abiding state of the basic nature is a place. I like that. Breakthroughs are directed at the unborn abiding state, the ground of all phenomena. I think that means like breaking through to the unborn state as opposed to breaking the unborn state. That has already been discussed in the earlier sections on determining the essence or nature of mind. That was in the section on connateness. Here, I will discuss this again briefly. All phenomena comprising existence and peace. Existence and peace are sort of code word names for which duality. Do people, anybody know other than Cynthia? You're disqualified. Anyone else? Existence and peace?
Samsara and nirvana.
Samsara and nirvana. Exactly. Thank you. Are only appearances of your mind. The essence, nature, or basic state of your mind is that it does not come into being as something inherently real, not as an entity, a non-entity, an appearance, emptiness, existent, non-existent, nor as a brilliant clarity, nor as an indivisible luminosity, emptiness, and so on. It is free from all characteristics such as being something perceived or a perceiver. It is devoid of movement. It doesn't transfer, change, depart, or arrive. Since it doesn't change in the 3 times, it is uninterrupted because there's nothing to interrupt. Like space, it is not tainted or altered by anything. The great Brahman states, Sarha constantly shouts, the connate nature is neither an entity nor a non-entity. What a funny thing. This guy shouting, going around town shouting, the connate nature. They call the police on you, right? The Shawara explains, without exception, everything, what moves and doesn't move, what wavers and does not, entities, non-entities, appearances, and emptiness, never, at any moment or any time, moves beyond being of the nature of space. Without exception, everything, never at any moment or time, moves beyond being of the nature of space. Everything moves. There we go. That's why it's plural, right? Though we say space, the essence of space doesn't exist in any way. It transcends being an object that can be shown to exist, not exist, to be not existent, and not non-existent, or anything other than those, i.e., the 4 alternatives. Thus, there isn't the slightest distinction between space, mind, and dharmata. The different words are simply temporary labels, unreal, nothing more than false terms. What a very nice quote that is. Varupa expounds, mind itself is empty of names, free from elaborations. Mahamudra, good way of summing it. Oh, he goes on. It's similar to the nature of space, in being primordially empty of names, inherently unborn, beyond entities with characteristics. It's like space, pervading all without movement or change. At all times it's empty, and from the outset, devoid of self. It is not that mind suddenly changes to being that way. The basic state of mind from the beginning remains that way, as it is without changing. An analogy is space, no matter what terms we use for space, such as being empty or not empty, or big or small. There is no one who can say the nature of space is exactly this. Thus Tilopa teaches, for example, we use the term empty to refer to space, but space cannot be described as being like this. Similarly, your mind is said to be luminous, yet there's no basis to which the expression it exists like this applies. In that way, the nature of mind is primordially like space. From the start, mind and all phenomena which arise from mind are devoid of any nature and therefore are without arising, ceasing, or abiding. All phenomena which arise from mind. I don't think that means just the ones that arise from mind, but I think it means that all phenomena arise from mind. Mind is the great unborn transparency which cannot be attained or lost, moved or transformed by anything, be it mindfulness, distraction, or something else, kleshas, anything. As the Shawara explains, if mind exists, it follows that phenomena exist. In the absence of mind, who realizes Dharma? That was in his question. He has the same question. When we search for mind and what appear as phenomena, nothing is found. There isn't even a searcher. That was a trick question. What is non-existent neither arises nor ceases in the three times. It doesn't become something else. It's the abiding state of natural great bliss. He, the Shawara, also says the nature of space, primordially pure, has nothing to be abandoned or attained. Part C, what constitutes the breakthrough? We have the meaning of the term, the place where it happens, and then what constitutes it, looking at the essence of mind, which has two parts, beginning with looking at the essence of thoughts and appearances. Generally speaking, this path is the path of blessings. Since this path is a path of blessings, we must arouse strong devotion to our gurus, specifically since the enhancement of our meditation depends on our devotion. Devotion is the one common tradition throughout all the practice lineages. The exalted Drikungpa, i.e. Jigten Sumgun, teaches what enhances Mahamudra is devotion to genuine gurus. He continues, if the sun of devotion doesn't shine on the snowy mountain of the Guru's 4 kayas, streams of blessings will not flow. Dedicate yourself to devotion. This image of comparing various attributes of Dharma to snowy mountains is a common one in Tibet for some strange reason. Go figure, huh? The great Brahman, Saraha, in his Doha for the Queen, sings the realization.
I do have a little question.
Sure, for sure.
About the
snowy mountains?
Perhaps about the streams of blessing.
Yeah, so the image, he's milking the image, right? There's snowy mountains of the Guru's 4 kayas are warmed by the sun of devotion, and the warming of snow turns it into water, which runs down the mountains as streams. So with our devotion, the sun of devotion shines on the snow mountains of the Guru's 4 kayas. So we're devoted to the Guru in whatever form the Guru takes. And then we receive the blessings of the Guru. Generating devotion then brings down the blessings of the Guru, known as Adhisthana in Sanskrit, or Chinlap in Tibetan. Here metaphorically referred to as streams of blessings. Dedicate yourself to devotion. So that will bring down the streams of blessings which help us to experience all the stuff that they're talking about here.
What word is that? Anasthana?
Adhisthana.
Adhisthana. Okay, thank you.
Adhisthana.
H-I. Okay.
The great Brahmin in his Doha for the Queen, he famously wrote a collection of 3 dohas for the king, the queen, and everybody else, in addition to a number of other dohas. But those 3 are most famous. It says the realization that all varieties of phenomena are of one taste and emptiness is aroused by the genuine gurus themselves. With a devoted mind, place on the Brahman spot on your head those sublime exalted ones who are like the bills of swans. Now for us that's a pretty weird image, right? So bills of swans, what? And so the legend is in India and therefore in Tibet, they believe that swans are magical beings because if you give them a mixture of milk and water, they can extract just the milk and leave the water with their bills. So this idea, I don't know if it has any basis in reality, that the swans can sort of separate stuff from different liquids. I don't know, but anyway, it has this sense of like extracting the good stuff or the essence or the important from the unimportant. and always placing the guru on the top of your head, so that when you go through doorways, you always have to bow down so that the gurus don't get knocked off your head, right? Because they're always there. There are many such statements at this point during whatever spiritual practices you do, and particularly during Guru Yoga. Begin by arousing the devotion in which you see your Guru as the Dharmakaya, which means that you can't see your Guru, because your Guru is the Dharmakaya, and it can't be seen. Make fervent supplications to realize all possible appearances are the Dharmakaya, that everything is the Guru, everything is the Dharmakaya. Next, as described before, cultivate one-pointed equipoise, which is the means for resting in the essence. You differentiate between brilliant states of mind and sullied ones. Then in a spacious and vibrant state of mind, when your awareness is undistracted and your meditation is without reference point, there may arise a subtle thought that doesn't create great mental pleasure or pain, or you should cause one to arise. Without clinging or wandering, look fixedly at its essence while its manifestation is vivid. So immerse yourself in the meditation of connate indivisibility, connate mind, connate dharma, kaya, the indivisibility of luminosity and emptiness, and within that, give rise to a thought in a contrived way. Without clinging or wandering, look fixedly at its essence while its manifestation is vivid. Similarly, there may arise a clearly evident coarse thought, the kind that creates the miseries associated with mental joys and sorrows, or you should cause one to arise. Interestingly, he affiliates misery with thoughts of both thoughts of joy and sorrow. Look again and again to see if there's any difference between the essence of a subtle thought and that of a coarse thought. When you sever misinterpretations regarding that, look to see if there's any difference between the essence of those thoughts and the essence of the still mind within which they appeared. Similarly, look at the many different kinds of thoughts involved with the mental afflictions, desire, and so forth, and those related to the 8 worldly qualities of pleasure and pain, and so forth. Sometimes block thoughts, sometimes suppress thoughts, doing all these different exercises to see if we can see the sameness, the oneness, the indivisibility of mind and space, of thoughts. Sometimes increase them, sometimes pursue just one stream of thoughts, do various things, such as these, and look at the essence of each to eliminate your misinterpretations about them. Similarly, examine the external objects that appear. Through a variety of physical postures, and your eyes being open or closed, gazing left or right or left, and so forth, there are many types of appearances that can arise. Forms of various sizes, colors, shapes, and qualities, sounds of various strengths, qualities, and melodies, and so on. In other words, different types of appearances of each of the 5 senses. Look to see if there is a difference between their essence and the essence of mind. Explore each of those techniques, and in a few days you will sever your misinterpretations. So this is a famous exercise, comparing, looking at the nature of mind and appearances, that I've come to realize recently is presented in wonderful detail in a sutra called the Sharangama Sutra. Sharangama Samadhi Sutra. It's a really neat sutra where the Buddha has a Q&A with what's his name? Ananda. Ananda famously goes astray. He's a monk and he has an affair with a woman, which is a pretty major offense. and he appropriately feels terrible about it. And the Buddha tries to help him overcome this whole dualistic experience by trying to demonstrate to him that his mind doesn't exist. That he goes through a number of different exercises of different senses, primarily the sound sense. That he focuses on sound. Like, where does the sound occur? Does it occur in your mind, or is it out there, or is it in between, or both? And then where is your mind? It's quite a neat sutra. And given that it's like very similar to these Mahamudra exercises. Anyway, explore each of these techniques, and in a few days you will sever your misconceptions. Can someone spell the name of that sutra? It's called the Shurang, Shurangama, Gama
Can you
Sutra.
spell that again, Derek? And
That's it.
is it in English?
No, that's a Sanskrit word. I don't know what the
No, the
English
book or the
is.
sutra.
Yeah, it's translated. There's a number of translations of it in English. Yeah.
Sounds like you need some pretty on point shamatha to be doing that exercise.
Yes, that's for sure. That is for sure. So here, let's see, where are we? Here, this is a translation that you can find on the internet, whatever that is, freely available. So they left out the H. I think it actually is like an S with a slash over it, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, when you first said it, my recollection is Surangama without the H, but that's my.
Okay, you're probably right. Yeah. Let's see what came up here. Oh, somehow it went right to that. Why does it keep doing that? That is so weird.
What are you trying to look for? Just other
Just,
sites?
A couple
just
searches
search.
back, there was a PDF listed.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to this, the Wikipedia.
Oh,
Yeah, but this one is available. However it's spelled. Cynthia's probably right. It's probably that.
Thank you.
I must have done some weird thing on my search engine.
I mean, the S does have a little line going leftwise on it, so that might be according to Wikipedia, that is.
Okay, I don't know why I can't get to Wikipedia.
That's funny. Do you want me to bring it up on the?
Yeah, Wikipedia has the slash over it, right?
It does. It has a little. Yeah.
Shurangama Sutra, not to be confused with the Shurangama Samadhi Sutra. So it's sort of, people consider it to be a Chinese creation, but it's still, it's a cool creation. They have some very good creations.
Yeah, here it says it was translated into Tibetan during the late 8th to early 9th century.
Yeah, so many scholars argue that the sutra is a Chinese apocryphal text.
Oh.
It was composed in China, literary Chinese. Anyway, that was not an unusual thing. I mean, People created lots of texts in India, so why couldn't they do them in other places? In fact, it's time that we write our own sutras. We're going to have like a little sutra workshop, writing workshop. Anyway.
Doesn't sutra mean, would you call it a sutra if we're writing them?
Well, do you think, that begs the question of, do you think all the sutras in the collection called the canon were actually written, spoken by the Buddha?
I don't know, but what is the definition of sutra? I thought it.
Well, the term actually means like a thread, like things that similar to tantra, and actually has a similar meaning.
Okay.
But it's used in the Buddhist tradition specifically to refer to teachings attributed to the Buddha, i.e., what the Tibetans call Buddha word.
Right. So that's what I meant, is that from that point of view, we wouldn't call our creations the same thing, but it depends on which definition you're using. I see.
Yeah, but we're all Buddhas, so whatever we want is coming from the Buddha.
What about writing dohas?
Yeah.
Anybody can do that, right?
The aim to be attained by doing that, no matter what manifestations of thoughts or appearances occur, without feeling the need to block them or terminate them, zap them, you must be absolutely certain that while being vivid manifestations, their essence is unidentifiable. They are just empty clarity. Empty appearances, reflexive awareness. I generally recommend you start with thoughts that are not like heavily charged, or appearances that are not like of great significance. It's easier that way, right? This point has already been explained in the sections pointing out the co-nakedness of thoughts and appearances. It is also explained by the following. The great Brahman says, know that all that appears before you is connate with emptiness, the root of mind. I think he means not necessarily before you physically, but like could be behind you as well. The Shawara advises, in the same way, all rivers, the Ganges and others, become of one taste in the salty ocean. Know that all analyzing minds and mental events are of one taste in the Dharmadhatu. There's no separation between neurotic mind and enlightened mind. It's all mind, and it's all the same as phenomena. It's all Dharmata. Furupa teaches, mind itself is devoid of memories, thoughts, or characteristics which are like the water of a mirage. Neither bound nor liberated, it does not move from its intrinsic state. Mind does not move from its intrinsic state. And memories, thoughts, or characteristics are like water that is implied by a mirage, but not actually there, right? So those memories, thoughts, and characteristics imply that there's a mind, but there actually is none. Talopa states, for example, mist and clouds vanish in space, into space. They go nowhere and reside nowhere. Similarly, when the masses of thoughts rising up in the mind are seen to be the mind itself, those waves of thoughts vanish. Maitripa observes, from the unborn a thought suddenly appears. That very thought is the essence of the expanse. This is a very controversial statement. Hi, Lindsay. Welcome. That a thought can appear from the unborn. That's tricky. That very thought is the essence of the expanse. Maitripa also explains the various appearances and this essence of mind don't exist even at the moment they meet. This is Mahamudra. Secondly, looking at the essence of the object of meditation and the meditator. First was thoughts and appearances, and now we have objects, the meditation scheme. Here the object of meditation is actually your own mind. That's a very interesting statement because on the one hand it implies that maybe it's only in this circumstance the object of meditation is mind, but it might also be interpreted to mean that the only object of meditation ever is mind, right? Since all appearances are mind, what else can we possibly meditate on? Okay, it's not enough to simply, I think this is a typo, there's one too many twos, which is sort of a pun, right? It's not enough to simply engage your mind with the thought. Mind is without arising, ceasing, or abiding. It is something that transcends the intellect. Mind is something that transcends intellect, which cannot be identified. And have certainty about your understanding. You must immediately cut through misinterpretations right within your experience using direct yogic perception. You all have that, right? I sent you some. I sent you an email with that attachment, direct yogic perception. As before, in a state of undistracted awareness, spacious and vibrant, repeatedly look to see just how the essence of that object of meditation is when you are looking fixedly and nakedly, without wandering or clinging. And look directly at the essence of the mind, doing the action of meditation. If those two seem to be dualistic appearances such that they are in a reciprocal relationship, one being the support for the other, or one is external and the other internal, you have not severed your misinterpretations. Look again. It's a famous line from, look again. Sort of like think again. Simply put, you must conclude that mindfulness awareness, in which the object of meditation and the one becoming familiar, i.e. the meditator, are undifferentiated and inseparable, appears just like an illusion. If you take out the section in the dash, the sentence reads, simply put, you must conclude that mindfulness awareness appears just like an illusion. Mindfulness awareness, which is an interesting term. Has she been using this before? Have we seen this before, mindfulness awareness? I don't think so. That's sort of like Trungpa Rinpoche's style of meditation. We say to differentiate from MBSR, mindfulness meditation. He taught mindfulness awareness meditation. It's simply designated with such terms, but actually it is primordial, open emptiness in which there is nothing to be identified and not even a hair's tip worth of instantiation. A hair tips, not a hair's tip. A hair tips. Once you sever your misinterpretations, and that way look to see if there is a difference in your mind during any of the 3 times. So you look at your mind in the past, you look at your mind in the present. How do you look at your mind in the future? I mean, it's hard enough to look at your mind in the present. That's an interesting phrase. When you examine where your past mind has gone, where your future mind will arise, and how your present mind abides, if you see what seems to be the arising, ceasing, or abiding of a mind in the 3 times, you should try again. You should look again. You should re-examine that well. You have missed the point. You have not gained assurance from this point, since there has never been any interruption in the unidentifiable nature of mind. It is inseparable during the 3 times. You must conclude, hopefully you will understand, that mind and experience, that mind is a single, transparent state throughout the 3 times, like space. How can it be single if it's not a thing? It's neither single nor multiple, right? I think he didn't really mean it in that way, presumably. In the same fashion, examine the mind that is the perceiving subject with the thought, I, me, and the mind that is the perceiving subject with the thought, other, them. If those manifest as dualistic appearances, the second part, Examine the mind that is the perceiving subject with the thought other than. You're talking to your own mind as if it's other, I guess. If those manifest as dualistic appearances such that one seems to be external and the other internal, or they are in a reciprocal relationship, you have not severed your misinterpretations. Look again. Conclude that everything is mind itself, which from the start is groundless and rootless. It is an unrivaled single state, self-arising and self-liberating, a non-existent openness. So you notice that in this section, the language is not actually that technically, literally accurate. There's little inconsistencies in the use of terms because it's sort of like a guided meditation, and it's not meant to be like a completely literal Madhyamaka statement about the nature of things. This idea that mind can be a single transparent state would be a mistake, I think. Anyway, last paragraph. Thus you conclude that the object of meditation and the meditator, the mind during the 3 times in the mind, perceiving dualistic appearances of self and other, are only separate as words. Any separateness is just ascribed by the intellect. They are an undifferentiated continuum. Mind itself, whose essence does not exist as anything, and yet can arise as anything due to conditions, is illusion-like. Its essence is neither confused nor liberated. It is not tainted by flaws or virtues. It cannot be attained or lost, met with or departed from. Intentionally focus for a few days without blocking or encouraging anything. Sustain whatever arises in a loose, naturally settled state, free from fabrication or contrivance. You will develop certainty about your conclusions. Maybe we should try this for the next week and see what happens by next week for a few days, right? The great Brahmin exclaims, Ke Ma. Don't say the suchness free from any nature exists in meditation. If you conceive of an object of meditation and a meditator as a duality, the mind grasping dualism rejects its bodhicitta. People who do that defile themselves. That is such a cool phrase, right? Because, what is the bodhicitta here? The mind grasping dualism rejects its bodhicitta. Well, let's go on, and then if we have time, let's come back. What is the bodhicitta? Is used in many different ways in Buddhism. It's a unique term. And the mind without meditation and an object of meditation is free from any nature. Being the consummate with no hopes or fears, it is Vajra mind. And sublime great bliss is neither self nor other. In front, behind, and in all 10 directions, whatever you see is suchness. The Shawara says, realized ones have neither an object of meditation nor a meditator. Just as space cannot observe space, emptiness does not meditate on emptiness. So you can't meditate on anything. The non-dual mind is like water mixed with milk, continuous great bliss, in which diversities are of one taste. I guess the idea is that milk and water mix thoroughly, as opposed
Unless you're a swan, right?
Well, I don't think we're talking swans here. I think it's a different theme that they mix. That diversities are of one taste. That they mix without any way of separating them, except unless you have a swan's beak. In the expanse of mind's dharmata, there's nothing that's this. Therefore, there's no object of meditation and no meditator. He continues. He does continue, doesn't he? When there's nothing seen and no seer, differences are free on the spot. When someone practicing has vanished, effort and striving are gone. When a result to be attained has vanished, you're freed from all hopes and fears. When I and me have been eradicated, you're victorious in the battles with Mars. When reifications have subsided in their own place, you're freed from samsara and nirvana. Finally, the actual...
I've made a comment in the book on that. I said, sounds wonderful.
Yeah, right. Marvelous. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Time to celebrate. The actual breakthrough to the unborn transparency of mind. This is it, I think. Once you have conclusive certainty in what was explained above, destroy any clinging you have to certainty about the object of meditation. Once you have certainty, destroy that certainty. Relax your mindfulness. Wow. Which is doing the action of meditating. Similarly, give up any expectations about the object of your practice and put aside your strivings as a practitioner. Let go of the object of realization and pacify the mind that is doing the realizing. Destroy your meditation. In brief, dispense with notions of this is it and mental formations that think it's like this. Cast off your ambitions and any wishes you may harbor about meditation, mindfulness, experiences, or awareness. Do not even have the intention, I won't do anything with my mind. How can you do anything? You immediately have the intention of not doing anything.
This is like that phrase, if you meet the Buddha, kill him.
Oh, that's so cruel. But okay. Remain comfortably with your ordinary, normal mind, unfabricated, uncontrived, just left to be as it is, with no fuss. Again, we have this technical term, fuss. I keep forgetting to ask Elizabeth what this Tibetan is for fuss. Whatever normal thoughts and appearance, we have to add that to our list, Cynthia. There's something else also earlier, but anyway, whatever normal thoughts.
The other
Normal
one that was
thoughts.
presence.
Presence, yeah, thank you.
I got them
All
both.
right. Whatever normal thoughts are. What are normal thoughts? Whatever normal thoughts and appearances arise, simply let them be as they come. Don't try to manipulate them, change them, or establish them in a mind intent on preventing or promoting something. So don't do all the stuff that he just told us to do, like staring fixedly at them. This is the phase where we just...
Like you just gave the conclusion of the book, and we should stop right here. This is it.
Yeah, this is it, right? Don't read further.
Don't read, don't listen to Dharma.
So this is like the conclusion of the meditation Lojong slogans, right? The first one is regard all dharmas as dreams, and then analyze the nature of unborn awareness, liberate even the antidote, and then rest in the nature aliyah, something like that, right? Don't try to manipulate them, change them, or establish them in the mind intent on preventing or promoting something. Don't pursue mental activities. When your mind is distracted, don't worry about that. Don't regard it as a problem. Don't even examine it. When you are mindful, let that be uncontrived ordinariness that isn't anything, not an object of meditation, not an object of experience, not an object of action. Eat, move about, and sleep in a state free from conceptualizing as much as you can. Don't entertain ideas like, I will do this, I am doing that. Forget about your to-do lists or any coarse mental formations. Don't do any other physical activities or work, except for maybe offering tormas and supplications a little bit. Of course, I didn't mean not do those. Put aside all your other daily recitations and spiritual practices. Tibetans, as they go through their life, they accumulate different, they get teachings and empowerments, And they accumulate a great number of things, the really dedicated ones that they like commit to do every day, and they have like this stuff that they have to go through every day. He's saying, give up all those vows you took. Observe silence, sleep in a free, uncontrived ordinariness, devoid of any ambition. Letting go of all mental activities, remain just as you are for a few days. Your attachments to good experiences or grasping at joyful sensations will unravel. Your clinging to negative, confused thoughts as problems and your annoyance with them will subside. This sounds like a great thing to try on retreat. If like you go away in solitary retreat for a week, like try this for one day, somewhere in the middle. Just like try to do nothing. Actually, whatever ordinary state of mind you have arise and manifest, it is of the nature of meditation, an expression of emptiness. Actually, there is no rising or cessation, nothing to be separated from or to attain, nothing to abandon or adopt. There is no distracted mind or undistracted mind, no being mindful or not being mindful, no experience or lack of experience, no form, no feeling, no realization of the point or lack of realization. Therefore, when all the appearances of the world arise as objects for the mind, they are self-arising, self-occurring. When they subside, they are self-pacifying, self-liberating. Antidotes don't work. This is the unrivaled, single, transparent state. Everything is of the nature of meditation. Meditation is a constant flow. Meditation never goes away. That is the conclusive certainty you must develop. In this context, some block mental activities too forcefully and consequently remain in a stagnant shamatha. Others restrict their winds and mind internally, causing them themselves to suffer uncomfortable meditative experiences and mental stress. So if you have gas, it's not good to like hold it in, right? Is that what he's talking about? They should lighten their moods in whatever ways they need, be gentle with what comes up in their minds for a time, and refresh themselves. If a flawless experience occurs, you can allow it to continue for a few days. From time to time, look to see if there are occasions when your mind is not meditating. You can look to see. That's all you can do. You can just take like a little peek to see if your mind is not meditating. If you recognize that there are times that are not meditation, such as when you are distracted or sleeping, again examine the essence and nature of those periods of not meditating. Recognize their abiding state. He just said to do an awful lot of things, but just a little bit. These points are described frequently by the great Brahman, who says, meditate on wisdom, self-arisen and inconceivable, and you meditate on all the results. He continues, on the mind without activity seeks nothing. There's no need to seek virtues. It's free from discordant elements. Suchness isn't found through the tantras or shastras. The mind without ambitions is free from the stains of causes. He didn't seem to mention the sutras. Suchness isn't found through the tantras or the shastras. And it's sort of funny that there's the author puts in all these little ellipses, like he continues, and why not just have like a continuous quote? Mind in its essence is free from faults and virtues. That state needs no actions at all. The mind that's let go of actions is sublime great bliss. And when mentation is no longer mentation, unsurpassable awakening is attained. And when your mind is unmoving, stable in its own place, it's self-liberated from the things of samsara. He concludes, if you know that seeing, hearing, touching, recollecting, eating, smelling, wandering, going, staying, talking idly, and speaking in reply are mind, the expressions of the one mind, won't disturb you, i.e., all these expressions of our one mind of the one mind won't disturb you. The Shawara observes, seeing the suchness of the phenomena of samsara and nirvana, thoughts with hopes or fears collapse. They're devoid of nature. What's the use of striving to adopt or reject? He also says, Ke ho, instead of Ke ma, Ke ho. Okay, but for yogins and yoginis of the non-dual intrinsic state, what things could there be to adopt or reject? I don't hold on to phenomena or reject them. I don't say, child, you must do this. For Rupa teaches, with an object of realization and no realizer, with no object of realization and no realizer, you're separated from bias and extremes. With no separation or non-separation, there is the intrinsic state of equality. Once you definitely realize that, no stains linger. Since variations are clearly the Dharmakaya, the idea to reject or accept doesn't occur. With no meditation and no non-meditation, nothing is tainted by character. Don't ever rely on appearing or non-appearing objects. Having no notions of an actor in actions is freedom from reference points. The absence of a mind with hope and fear reverses all attachments. He continues, once there are no mental activities, there are no stains and no doubts. With the purification of the knower and knowable objects, dharmata directly manifests. He also states ultimate naturalness, free from attachment, is the state to cultivate. Don't abandon, practice, fixate, train, or block. Cultivate your own nature comfortably. It is the genuine sublime state. So there is something to do in that one, cultivate. Tilopa declares, mind is not to be contrived or uncontrived. Know that the intrinsic state is the absence of mental objects. He continues, don't think, don't reflect, don't analyze, don't meditate, don't engage, don't hope or fear. The mental fabrications grasping those liberate in their own spot. They settle right within original dharmata. He concludes, ambitions obscure, you won't see luminosity. Vows kept conceptually impair the true samaya. Samaya are vows, like bodhisattva and refuge vows. Don't do anything with your mind and you'll be free from ambition. Self-arising and self-pacify like waves on water. If you don't transgress the state of not resting and not focusing, you won't transgress samaya. You'll be a lamp in darkness. When you're free from ambition and don't dwell in extremes, you behold all dharma contained in the pitakas. Pitakas is a Sanskrit for baskets, which is how they refer to the collection of the teachings of the Buddha as baskets. Usually the 3 baskets. There are many such statements by the Mahasiddhas. The exalted Kampopa teaches, don't adopt or reject anything, don't seek a path. When no result is seen, hopes and fears subside. Recognize misinterpretations and deceptions about what is false. Scatter. He continues, first, since mind itself does not exist, who recognizes the wisdom of stillness and movement? Thus, all that has been done and is being done is merely the difficult task of farming in space. That's a famous phrase, right? Famous line, farming in space.
Well, there was a quote related to it was the South American revolutions, I think Che Guevara and all of that, and they talked about those who have attempted to, oh gosh, I can't get the, they said have only farmed the sea. those who have attempted to, I'll try to come up with the words. It was
The
basically about trying to make
illogical things.
the revolution work, and that they've sort of, it's like impossible. So farming the sea, sort of similar to this. Oh.
Well, and being without reference points is to let go and to openness. Being without perceived objects is to discard the mindful perceiver. Being in non-meditation is to remain ordinary. Since there is no owner, nothing can be right or wrong. And since there is no cultivation of an ocean of mindfulness, there is no fear of distraction. Since there is no alternating between equipoise and post-meditative attainment, there are no sessions and breaks. Whatever occurs is neither adopted nor rejected in Dharma Dhatu. Know the false structures, the misinterpretations of all. Finally, he states, when you realize there is no mind, appearances are set free. When you don't evaluate, thoughts arise and release. When you don't have ambitions, everything is equal. When you realize that, your meditation is continuous. There are many such statements. Those who wish for more should look at Gampopa's text revealing the hidden characteristics of mind. I'm going to look for that. Blending, finally, the fifth topic after that is like after the enlightenment, the laundry or something. Blending equipoise and post-meditative attainment into a constant flow, day and night, by means of a bullet, right? Isn't that what you guys use for blending? The blender these days. Anyone else have a bullet blender? All right. By means of that breakthrough. The constant flow of meditation that was explained above blends meditative equipoise and post-meditative attainment during the day, and it will also function at night. Hopefully there's like a way to silence it and it's not too noisy at night so you can sleep. The ways to sustain meditative equipoise and post-meditative attainment are, for the most part, as were presented earlier, and the asterisk links to, on the bottom, the methods for sustaining meditative equipoise and the methods for sustaining post-meditative attainment on prior pages. Nevertheless, here in the context of a breakthrough, there is some concern that if your applied mindfulness is very rigid, it will arouse experiences and you will then fixate on those experiences. Therefore, when you are mindful, let go of any expectations. Don't even set up the intention to let go. With no fuss or fabrication, and in keeping with the approach that the best relaxation means the best meditation, cultivate not separating meditative equipoise and post-meditative attainment. As the exalted Zhang states, Mahamudra meditation does not contain dictates. Do it this way. It has no beginning, middle, or end. Whenever you are mindful, just rest relaxed. We may wonder, if we do that, we will stray into a blank lack of mindfulness. Will we stray into a blank lack of mindfulness and not be meditating? You will not have that problem. That's neat that he's so confident to say that to us. Generally speaking, the relaxation that occurs when you are mindful is mindfulness that disrupts fixations. The relaxation that occurs when you are mindful is mindfulness that disrupts fixations. Since remaining in a state free from mental activities is the true mindfulness of the abiding state just as it is, this mindfulness with relaxation is very different from enforced mindfulness or applied mindfulness. So in the Mahamudra tradition, they have this scheme of 4 levels of mindfulness. As the Shawara explains, with Mahamudra, where mind doesn't do anything, there's not even an atom's worth of something to meditate on, so don't meditate. This is the supreme meditation, never apart from the actual non-meditation. On the other hand, if your post-meditative mind sometimes lapses into distractions, once you apply the mindfulness of post-meditative attainment, you will be aware of the abiding state of all those distractions, and that is sufficient. And if you recover mindfulness, that state is included within the mixing of meditative equipoise and post-meditative attainment. This is referred to with the term the constant flow of meditation. I just realized that I made a terrible mistake.
Well, it wasn't terrible, but I
I've
didn't
gone
read
beyond.
beyond. You've got.
I've gone beyond where no human has gone before. Right? So
I gave up after that last section. I was just like, okay, no mind. I have no mind. No.
yeah. So we'll return to blending next week. And we're on page 397. So we started the blender. Maybe we should just read that quote in the paragraph where I'm at, right when I suddenly blended my awareness with the curriculum, the syllabus. Let's see. With mindful Mahamudra, where mind doesn't do anything, there's not even an atom's worth of something to meditate on, so don't meditate. This is the supreme meditation, never apart from the actual non-meditation. Okay, so I think we got the general idea of things. I wanted to go back to a certain term and any other comments and questions that people have. Cynthia.
I had two things. One is to give you the correct quote that I was trying to give you, and then another a couple pages earlier. The quote that I was referring to was, America is ungovernable. Those who served the revolution have only plowed the sea. And it was Simon Bolivar, not Che Guevara. Sorry about that. But plowing the sea and farming in space was the analogy. The other thing that I wanted to, that struck me when we were in the page 392, where it was talking about like meditation as a constant flow and meditation never goes away. And this is a conclusive certainty that you must develop. And I noticed it's even on that last page that you were reading past the boundary, talking about the constant flow of meditation. And then in a paragraph below that, where it said that thing about if flawless experience occurs, you can let it go. From time to time, see if there's occasions when your mind is not meditating. And then this was the interesting part to me. It was, if you recognize that there are times that are not meditation, like distracted or sleeping, again examine the essence and nature of those periods of not meditating, recognize their abiding state. I had this funny thought that, and it's a weird kind of analogy, but they always talk about, I mean, it seems like they're almost saying, if you look at them, they really were still part of the abiding state, right? That seems like what they're trying to say, and it reminded me of any of you who may have seen the customer service rule, which says rule number 1, the customer is always right, and then rule number 2, if the customer is wrong, please refer to rule number 1. And so it's sort of the same thing. It's like they've given us the rule that meditation is a constant flow and everything's included, and then when you have these times where you think that's not true, they're saying basically go back to rule number 1, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I know it's a little weird analogy, but it kind of struck me that might be what they're trying to say.
That's right. There's no way of straying in meditation. So clearly we're talking about a very advanced level of practice and experience in the path, right? Not something to be engaged in frivolously, like, okay, so I don't need to have formal meditation anymore, just like whatever happens, just gonna go along, go with the flow, Mr. Natural, blah blah blah, right? So we read. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Remember when meditation practice was first described like as a potter's wheel,
The
and
centering.
you set the pot in motion on the wheel.
Keep
We're
going.
at the part now where we've let go.
Oh, and the pot flies off?
Well, the pot is just going. It's forming itself. There's no more hands.
I see. So that means the pot is finished.
Yeah,
Neat. Yeah. Okay, and it's just spinning. It's
yeah,
just going.
yeah.
It's like when you use a manual wheel and
It,
you get it up to speed, and the flywheel just keeps it going for a long
yeah,
time.
and it's like the practice. The practice is like, yeah. At first, it's somewhat ego driven, and we identify with our practice. We're doing it, and now we're supposed to drop identifying with it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, obviously this is a very advanced stage, but hopefully it can inform our practice in the way of like not solidifying what we're doing, not like making a big deal out of what we're doing with our practice, and like not making a big deal out of getting lost, distracted in our practice and coming back, or like experiences we might have and so forth. Just letting go, relaxing, letting go. So back on page 390, there was this quote by the great Brahmin at the first quote. The great Brahmin exclaims, "Kye ma! Don't say that suchness free from any nature exists in meditation. That would be a boo-boo. If you conceive of any object of meditation and a meditator as a duality, the mind grasping real dualism rejects its bodhicitta." So the implication of that sentence is that the mind has bodhicitta, but bodhicitta can be accepted or rejected. And it's automatically rejected when we grasp at dualism. And the implication of that is when we relax into non-dualistic experience, then we accept its bodhicitta. What is the mind's bodhicitta? Cynthia.
Well, isn't one of the definitions of bodhicitta in the more esoteric realm is actually more like the nature of mind itself, the Buddha nature itself?
That is correct. The true nature of mind. It rejects. So can we actually reject our own mind?
Not really, but we could. I mean, I guess you could say the way how we exist in the having doubts is um, it, you can't reject it as in leaving it behind, but you can reject it in as in not believing in it or not accepting it as being the true nature.
Well,
Or not seeing it, not recognizing it.
reject all that you've accumulated. Reject all your existence. Reject all
Well,
your beliefs, everything, your life as it is. Destroy all that, and then you'll see it.
Well, yeah, we can't defile ourselves either in the last line. But in a manner of speaking, we think we are doing that.
Right.
I mean, I guess like throughout all of this, it's impossible to say most things without speaking in dualistic language.
It's easy for you to say.
No, it's actually really hard.
Is there a glossary entry for bodhicitta? Bodhicitta.
I don't think so. Looks like they go from Bhumi to Chandali.
Mm.
Huh.
Yeah, bodhicitta, it's such an interesting word. In the Vajrayana, it has all these different meanings. So Cynthia said it has the meaning of the true nature of mind. So if we grasp at dualism, we reject the true nature of our mind. Is it possible to reject the true nature of our mind?
No.
I would say conceptually, yes, but actually, no. Meaning we could have, that's why I mentioned doubt. I think that doubt is an example or, doubting that we have it, that sort of thing. Let's see, grasping dualism is not accepting non-duality, right? Which
We
is
can
the,
be oblivious to our true nature.
Mm, yeah. I found it in the glossary of the second POD, bodhicitta definition.
Oh, good. What does it say?
It says, enlightened heart, mind, ultimate or absolute bodhicitta is the union of emptiness and compassion, the essential nature of awakened mind. Relative bodhicitta is the tenderness arising from a glimpse of ultimate bodhicitta that inspires the practitioner to train in working for the benefit of others.
Neat. Where is that from?
The Bodhisattva Path, the second book of POD.
Right. The glossary in there. That's a
Yeah.
nice explanation. So that's a Mahayana explanation, but it did have. Say it again. The first part of it.
I have to find it again. Sorry.
Oh,
Hold on.
oh, wherever it's on. Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. Okay.
Bodhicitta. How can we
Bodhicitta.
reject the true nature of mind?
Enlightened heart, mind, ultimate or absolute bodhicitta is the union of emptiness and compassion, the nature of awakened mind. The tenderness that arises from the glimpse of ultimate bodhicitta inspires the practitioner to train in working for benefit of others. So
Yeah, there's no
that's
working here, certainly. The working would be contrived. But anyway, thank you for that. That's great. Thank you, everyone. So we're next week we continue with enhancement, right? There's 2 enhancements, 3 enhancements. So we have 2 more classes left. Okay. And what is today? Today is 25. So April something, 1st and 8th. Cool. Shall we dedicate? By this merit may all attain omniscience, may defeat the enemy wrongdoing from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of samsara. May I free all beings by the confidence of the golden sun of the great east. May the lotus garden of the Rigdon's wisdom bloom. May the dark ignorance of sentient beings be dispelled. May all beings enjoy profound, brilliant glory. Thank you, everyone. Nice to see you. Be well. Don't give up.
Right.
Ever. Take care.